Hello everyone, my name is Nicole. This is my first YouTube channel video, and I'm going to be talking about books because I'm very passionate about books, especially fantasy books, and so I figured I might as well share this with everyone. I have, some great book recommendations that I want to talk about, maybe some things I liked or disliked about certain books, upcoming books that I'm looking forward to. But for this first video, to give you some book recommendations, I'm going to talk about some of my top 10 favorite books that I enjoy reading. This is just going to cover mainly just fantasy, like more epic, high fantasy kind of reads, as opposed to young adult fantasy, which I do have a lot of those that I love, and I'll probably do another video of those. But this is going to mainly just be, more that high fantasy, epic fantasy. Some will be standalone, some will be whole series, but I will give you some great recommendations that I think that you might enjoy as well. So for number 10 on my list, I'm going to talk about The Lies of Lamora. This isn't necessarily one of my favorites, but I really enjoyed this book. The main reason why it's probably more down on my list is it's more of a darker read. I tend to prefer more optimistic type reads, more of the good versus evil, a happy kind of ending, or at least an okay ending. This one doesn't necessarily have a happy ending or a good versus evil kind of thing. It's a gang of misfits who tend to just steal, outwit people, which is fun and entertaining, which is what I liked. I loved the gang of characters that are in this. They're not necessarily your moral high ground characters, but they are fun to read. There's some humor in there. There's a lot of camaraderie, good friendships. So it's fun to read. I really did enjoy it. The other two I didn't care for as much because it wasn't the same makeup of all the characters, and I don't want to get into any spoilers, so I'm going to leave it at that. So I would recommend it if you are interested in maybe a little darker read, you like some of that thievery. It kind of think a little bit of the Mistborn gang, but a lot darker. And I do believe there's going to be another book out at some point, but I don't know when that'll be. But I do plan to probably reread it once that does come out. Okay, now for number 9 on my list, I have The Sword of Kaigen. Is it Kaigen? I hope I'm saying that right. If not, I am probably going to butcher a lot of names and book names. I'm not very good at that. So just as a forewarning. But I loved this book. It's so much fun. It's just one book. It's a standalone. It's a great story. It has a really unique magic system. A mother and son relationship. There's a lot of family themes that are covered in this story. I definitely recommend if you just want to try something different. It's very interesting, and it definitely became one of my top favorites. Okay, now for book number 8. This is going to be The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. This is a great trilogy. I loved it so much. And he's coming out with another book in April on this same world and about the same series. I think I'm super excited for it. So I'm going to be rereading this trilogy, and it's been a long time since I've read this. So it's not really fresh in my mind. I just know I really enjoyed it. And so when I do reread it, I probably will do another video on this and describe it a little better. But it's mainly about an assassin, and he's being trained as an assassin by another assassin. There's a lot of assassins, but it's really cool. There's a lot of cool fighting. There is some magic in there. The main thing I didn't like is the love interest. I cannot stand it. And luckily, it's not that much in there. It's not very prominent, so I can overlook that. But that's probably my real complaint about this. There are a lot of politics involved and everything, so if you're into that, that's also in there. I really liked the main character, and there's another character in there that's his friend that is a great character as well. But like I said, I'll be rereading these, and I can go over them a little bit better. But this is just a trilogy right now, and there will be a new book coming out at the end of April, and I'm super excited about it. For book number 7, I have The Shadow of What Was Lost. Now, I know this isn't normally a lot of people's favorites. I don't hear this mentioned a lot, and even though people, when they do read it, some people don't really like it as much as a lot of other ones. But honestly, I love this trilogy. And the more that you read it, so if you reread this, you tend to like it better because you have the bigger picture in your mind, and it makes it more enjoyable because there's a lot going on in this trilogy, and there's a lot of character involvement. There's a wide range of characters. There's some kind of, not really like time travel, but there's characters that have been around for thousands of years, and there's some memory loss, and they're getting back these memories, and it's very interesting to read. There's a lot going on. There's some politics, there's a magic system, there's like end of the world kind of feel. There's a lot. And like I said, when you reread it, you tend to probably enjoy it a little more than like the first time. Because the first time I read it, I'm like, what is going on? What is this? There's so much I don't understand. I feel like I have more questions than answers. But the second time I reread it, I loved it. And I'm super excited because the author is coming out with another series, not on this, but another series. And I'm really excited to read what else he can put out. Okay, so for book number 6, I have The Rage of Dragons. This is such a fun series. Right now, there's only 2 books out. This is really quick to read. There's a lot of cool sword fighting involved in this. It's a really interesting world. There are dragons. It's really fun. There's also a really cool scene too where there's kind of like this more of like this demon world that they kind of like can fight in. Really interesting. I don't know how to like describe it in a way that the author does, but it's interesting and it's so much fun. My main concern why this probably isn't higher on my list is because the other books, I think they're supposed to be 4, and the author's only written 2, and the other books it's been a while, and I'm hoping the author will follow through with it and end it in a strong note, because the first 2 are really great and I love them. They're so much fun. I have a lot of faith and hope that it will be good, but I also don't want to put it too high on my list because, if the next books aren't that great, this probably will change, or it could be a new favorite. I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely recommend for a fun read. But if you don't want to read a book that isn't finished yet, then maybe hold off for a little while, because I've been left hanging and it's torture waiting for the other ones to come out. For my 5th book, I have Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings. Now, I could probably have all of Sanderson's books on my list because I definitely recommend pretty much anything he puts out. I love all of his books. But for now, I'm going to just say The Way of Kings. I will have another one of his that I'm going to recommend and a few other books. But this is his, main epic series, the Stormlight Archive. Way of Kings was probably my favorite so far in the series. I love the first book. Kaladin has to be my favorite character. I just love his whole, arc of his story and everything. It's really good to read. I didn't really like the last book that came out, The Rhythm of War. That probably wasn't my favorite of the series, but Oathbringer and Way of Kings, I love them. And if you want to probably wait till maybe the 5th book is coming out, I think it'll be out next year. Maybe start, reading all the series then you have the whole like big chunk. I think they're supposed to be 10 books, but I think it's going to be divided between the 5. So if you want to wait till then to read, all 5, then you got a big picture of it, you can. Or you can be, left on a cliffhanger like all of us and agonizingly waiting for the next book like we all are. But I definitely recommend it. It's a really cool world. So much fun to read. But this is definitely high on my list, and I really recommend. Okay, so for book 4, I'm going to have Kings of the Wyld. This is kind of high on my list because I messed up my order, but that's okay. I really enjoyed this book, and I still recommend it. So it's okay if it's book 4, even though I probably would have had it like 6. But this is really fun to read. Now, there is another book, but it covers different characters. So for me, I've only read this one, and I kind of look at it as mainly a standalone. Even though you can read the other one, I haven't read it yet, so I can't say if I recommend it or not. But I'm assuming that it's probably still good. This book, it's really fun. It's unique. It's about this gang that had, in their younger days, been together, and they were more of this like fighting group, this brotherhood group, or they, these epic warriors kind of feel. And then now they're all older and they are all separated and everything, but they come back together for this single last adventure or mission because one of their daughters has gone missing and they need to rescue her. And so it's mainly just like an adventure story, and it is so much fun. It's a really quick read, almost too quick. I was sad how quick it went, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story. It was fun watching these older guys, go back to their fighting skills, and they were still good. It was still fun to read, and I really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend this. Really fun to read. All right, so for book 3, I have Eye of the World. I really didn't know where to put this in my order because I haven't finished the series, and it's just such an epic story to where I don't really know where it belongs. It almost needs its own category. But I recommend it if you're willing to put forth the effort to read all this, because it's a lot of time commitment. But I'm hoping it'll be worth it in the end. Right now, I'm on book 9. So I'm close, but I'm in that slog. I think books 8, 9, and 10 are considered like more of like it's hard to get through slog type books. But I'm halfway there, and I'm definitely feeling that slog in book 9. So I'm hoping to, be able to get past that. I have kind of reread this because initially, when I first read this, I stopped at book 6, and then I reread it again. And honestly, I enjoyed it more in my reread. It was a lot of fun to just, make sure, because now I knew the story and I was able to understand a lot that's going on. Because there is a wide range of characters and places and cultures to try to remember to what's going on, because it switches so many points of view. But the main characters, I love, Rand, Matt, and Perrin. So much fun. I love their stories. Sometimes there'll be a character that isn't even in one of the books. Like the last book I read, Matt wasn't even in it, and I was really disappointed. I was really sad because he happens to be my favorite. But I'm hoping, once I get through this slog, I'll get to, another high point, and I'll finish out the series strong, and then I can give a broad review on all the books. But I recommend it if you're willing to put forth the time and the energy. But I do take a lot of breaks from reading it because it's hard to just read one story for so long. But definitely recommend. All right, so for book number 2, I couldn't decide if I wanted this to be 2 or 1 because I have a feeling this is going to be a new favorite series of mine. This is The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. His new book, Traitor, which is the last of the trilogy, comes out in July, and I am just thrilled to death for it. I'm so excited. I loved this series so far. Pariah and Martyr are the 2 that are out right now. I loved them. It's like everything I want in fantasy. I love it. They got it's almost like that Chosen One kind of feel, because you got someone he's learning how to, sword fight, and he's like the best at it. He's considered a scribe, an outlaw. He's all these titles, and he fits well with any type of part he plays. But he always keeps his outlaw attitude and feel about him, the main character, and I love it. It's so much fun to read. But the cool part, too, with the way Anthony Ryan writes battle scenes and fight scenes, he does a great job. He has to probably be one of the authors that writes probably some of the best fight scenes I've read. And he writes a wide variety of fight scenes. It's not like just the same type of they're fighting across the plains kind of feel like it's a battlefield. But he has that. He has sieges. He has all types of fighting styles. And he writes each one flawlessly, in my opinion. And I love it. It's so good. So I have a feeling this might be a number 1 for me when Traitor comes out. But I'm also skeptical because I don't know how strong the books will end. Because I know I've had favorites before, and then all of a sudden the last book falls out. But the way this is going, I really do think this might be a new favorite. For number 1 on the list, I have Elantris. This is another Brandon Sanderson book. And ironically, this is a lot of people's least favorite Brandon Sanderson book, but it's my favorite. I love this one. I even have his leather-bound edition of this book. I love this one so much. It's always just a comfort read for me. It's a unique story. It's unlike any other one I've ever read. And then I love the characters. There's like this interesting magic system involved with it. It has, a good ending. It's just so much fun. And it's a standalone, so it's just, the one book, whereas unlike his, epics and the other ones, that can have more time commitment involved, this is just, one book, fun to read. I love it. Interesting world. The characters, there's politics involved. There's just a lot going on, and it's everything that I just enjoy with it. It's just such a comfort read, and I recommend giving it a chance. I understand that this is, I think, the first one that Sanderson wrote, And so it's probably, not his strongest writing compared to his other ones, but I love it. I really do. It's just such a comfort read, and I just have so much fun with it. That's all for my top 10. And I have more books that I obviously love and enjoy, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a feel for my first video of the types of books that I read and recommend. And I hope maybe, you found some books that you might want to try out. I recommend all of them. And as we go on and I do more videos, I'll obviously recommend more books, and I'll dive more into these books because I'm going to be rereading them. And I really want to share this with you, and I'm super excited to, get to share my love of reading with all of you. Thank you.